Hi, welcome to Healthy for Life. I'm Dr. Scott McCann, the Director of Health Education with the Santa Barbara County Public Health Department. And this is my wonderful co-host, Jacqueline Nielsen, who's a program manager also with the Public Health Department.
Thank you. And Healthy for Life is about promoting healthy lifestyles and preventing health problems.
And this show is actually a follow-up to our last show on family planning. Today we're going to talk about the specific methods of birth control and show you some of those and how well they work. But I wanted to show our first slide, which was kind of a recap of our last show, which showed that there were some positive things happening around family planning, particularly teenagers using contraception more often.
84% of the time, which is
very impressive.
Good score.
Yeah. And then some negative things like half of pregnancies being unplanned, which scares me a little bit.
That was a little startling, I think. But another good thing is we did learn about PACT, a financial program for minors or those that are financially eligible that do help provide services free of charge for contraceptive and other things like that. So we've got more things like that to discuss today.
Teen pregnancy rates going down, so really a lot of good news. But one thing before we get into all that, we want to start modeling health behaviors, which we've done on some other shows. We've had, I know my dad on the treadmill, and I did a kayaking
and
thing.
Walking. And you like to model.
And we want to model healthy behaviors. So we're actually going to do this show standing up, which is something I've started doing at home, watching TV, standing up and moving around a little bit. So we would encourage you at home to join us. Hi, we are indeed standing up now. You can't really tell, but take our word for it because we believe in fitness and exercise.
Yes, and so I'm not sure if you heard me before, but did you know that sitting, in terms of risk behaviors, is considered the new smoking?
It's that bad.
Yeah, being sedentary is possibly very harmful for you if you do it too much.
And I found a statistic on that. Your risk of heart attack or stroke is actually 147% higher if you sit around all day and don't get any exercise. Your risk of getting diabetes is 112%. That's more than double. And your risk of dying early is 50% higher if you don't get up and move.
Wow, those are some scary statistics.
Very scary, yeah. And it's fun. Most people enjoy once they get up and doing stuff, even if it's hard to get started.
And a lot of jobs now are even offering computer stations that go up and down, or people are at the treadmill reading, or...
I raised my desk at work so I could stand or sit, and it's really nice.
Well, that sounds like fun. We should encourage that.
So do your hour a day is what's recommended for the average adult, walking around, and something fun, something you enjoy is what you're going to do most.
Okay.
So.
All right.
But now we'll get back to our main subject, which is contraception, birth control methods. And we're going to start by talking about some of the natural methods that are available.
And before we do that, let's warn the audience that we are going to be discussing things that might not be so appropriate for younger ears, or if you're uncomfortable with any of the topics about reproduction, you might want to change the channel or go for a walk, as we suggest. But if you can, stay tuned. It is going to be an informative show.
Great. Yeah, we hope you'll stay with us. One of the easiest forms of contraception, of course, is not having sexual intercourse or abstinence. And I think we've got a few slides actually on things that go along with abstinence, because it sounds easy. It sounds like, gee, all you have to do is not have sex. But with hormones telling you to have sex, it may not be.
I think it sounds like a good idea, and if you've got the willpower to do it, or the experience possibly, that is easier. But it can definitely be challenging with those hormones, especially.
So you have to be real committed to it. You have to be able to express your limits and say, I don't want to have sex. We can kiss and hug, or wherever you draw the line. But and you have to have a partner who's willing to
You have to have that open communication, which we did mention before in the last show, to be able to express your opinions and wants. But in the event that that doesn't occur, or you do and you both decide, okay, now we're ready, and you accidentally go through the active intercourse without protection, there is an alternative for that after the fact birth control method called Plan B, emergency contraceptive pill.
We even brought a little package. And here you can see Plan B is one brand, there are a couple of others, but This is basically birth control that can be taken after the fact. It's called emergency contraception because it's not good to use on a regular basis. It's a big dose of hormones all at once. But if taken, as it says, within 3 days or even up to 5 days, it's pretty effective at stopping a pregnancy.
Yes, and it is available at the pharmacy without a prescription. I think it's roughly around $40, but you can also go to your physician and see if they have any financial assistance programs to help you out with it.
Right,
Or go to our healthcare centers or some place like the Planned Parenthood,
Yeah.
and they can help you out.
In fact, many clinics now are giving it out in advance in
Yes.
case you need it and the clinic's closed or the pharmacy's closed or it's a holiday. And so a good thing to have. So let's go on and talk about another easy-to-use method. And this is one we don't really recommend as ideal, but it's a good last resort, and that's withdrawal, or a man pulling his penis out of the vagina before he ejaculates. Here's the slide. It's actually 75% effective, which surprises
That's high.
a lot
I
of
wouldn't
people.
think about that.
Yeah, of course, it doesn't prevent STDs.
I was going to say, so
Yeah.
just like with the Plan B, it does not protect you from STDs. You're
Right.
still having that skin-to-skin contact. So
So really the only thing we're going to talk about is condoms and abstinence that prevent both STDs and pregnancy. Most of these just prevent pregnancy. So
but it's still better than nothing.
absolutely.
75%
So
chance of being successful.
if you're in that situation we were talking about where you have sex and didn't plan to, better for the guy to pull out than not. So.
Well, and there's another method that we have called fertility awareness method, also known as the rhythm method or the natural family planning method. And I think there's one other term for it.
Periodic abstinence.
Thank you,
Because
which-
that's what's involved,
Yes.
right?
So basically what's happening is that, and we have another slide for that, when the woman has to monitor her period, her cycle regularly, take her temperature, and a combination of things together can kind of predict when she's ovulating. And I believe it's about roughly a week before and during ovulation.
Right.
Right,
Because
that you
sperm can live inside after sex for
For
up to
about
5 days,
5 days,
5 to 7. And you want to be sure not have sex almost for, it comes close to 2 weeks with
Yeah, which is
waiting.
why it's periodic abstinence.
Right. But this method, just to be clear, is only about 75% effective. So not great, a little tricky. If you're going to use it, go to a clinic or a doctor and be trained in how to track your cycle so you really know when to avoid having sex so you don't
It
end up
kind of
pregnant.
sounds like the methods we've been discussing so far are really for those people that maybe have a steady partner and that can plan and have that open communication.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
possibly not for the younger ones
Good
who are
point.
not as experienced with
Definitely,
it.
good point. So let's go on and talk about the barrier forms, which are really putting something between sperm and egg. And condoms, there's actually 4 types we're going to talk about: the male condom, the female condom, the diaphragm, and the cervical cap. And we've actually got a couple of these we can show you.
And there are different types of the male condom, right? Different materials that can be used. Is that right?
That's right. Male condoms come in latex is what we recommend, and it's the most common, but there are also plastic ones for people with latex allergies, and there are ones with
Lambskin?
lambskin,
Is that right?
believe it or not, made from sheep intestines, which surprised me, but I guess that was something available in the past that people could, a man puts on his penis before sex, and if it's closed at the end, which it is, it catches the sperm before it gets into the, where it can get into the uterus.
And so do you have any tips for those people that aren't as experienced with this or not quite sure? How is the best way to utilize a male condom?
Very important. So the first, I think we have a slide on this one too, and it's important to check the expiration date because they don't last forever, especially if they're in a hot place. And
So like the back pocket's not the best method for keeping that?
it's okay, but not many days in a row, probably. So check the date, check the package. If it has a bubble in it, it's probably not torn. If it is torn, don't use it because they dry out and they're more likely to break. When you take it out, let's see, I think I'll try this one. You can actually see, I'll go ahead and open one up. And this one is within the expiration period. This is a Trojan. I tell men try different types because it's not like there's one brand that's best for everybody. They fit differently and feel differently, so try ones that work for you. But you want to pinch the tip so there's not a bubble or it'll break when the man
Like an air bubble?
ejaculates.
Okay.
Right. So pinch it, put it on, roll it down. This one's lubricated. You might be able to see it's a little shiny, so my hands are a little bit slippery, but that's a good thing for sex.
Lubrication is good for-
lubrication. So then you're ready to go. The other important thing is after the man ejaculates, he needs to pull out right away and hold on to the base of the condom when he pulls out, because believe it or not, the condom can slip off in the vagina as soon as the man loses his erection. And then if the sperm gets in there, of course, it's like using no method.
barrier anymore.
Right, right.
Got it.
So condoms are great because they do prevent both disease and pregnancy. One other thing I tell men, if they're worried about sensitivity, there are extra sensitive condoms that are actually a little thinner, so they feel better, but a little more likely to break. So I recommend the extra strength, actually they're a little thicker and stronger, lubricated latex condoms.
And are the lambskin condoms, or the ones made of natural material, barriers to STDs?
Good point. Not necessarily. Some of them seem to have these tiny holes that don't let sperm through, but viruses are so small they can actually get through. So lambskin only for pregnancy, not for STD prevention. Good point.
And now the other one that I think most of our viewers would not be familiar with is the female condom.
Which I seem to have lost my female condom.
Okay.
I think somebody borrowed it and didn't. There's a picture of it, even better.
Okay, perfect.
So you can see, yeah, it's like a little plastic bag, kind of. Right?
A plastic bag.
It is.
So it goes
yeah.
into the woman's vagina.
Right.
And
right.
part of it, it's almost like a cylinder, right? Part
yeah,
of it
ring,
goes on the
yeah,
cap. Or over
it
the
is
cervix.
like a cylinder, yeah, yeah.
And then the rest of the opening goes around the woman's actual vagina.
Yeah,
her
it
opening.
hangs out the vagina, a little ring.
And then the man inserts himself in between, correct?
Right,
and it's
right.
lubricated. Because I'm sure people
Now, I've
were
heard
wondering
that
about that.
it can dry out because it doesn't keep getting lubricated like a woman's vagina naturally does. So you want to add lubricant if it starts to stick to the penis, because otherwise it'll get pushed around and could come out.
And can you use a male, if you're really cautious or really concerned about it, could you use a male condom with the female condom?
Not recommended, because
Why is
they
that?
could actually make each other tear. The female condom's polyurethane plastic, and just the friction with either rubber or another type of condom could make it tear. And so
And then you would
pick
have
one
no
or
more
the
barrier.
other. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Both good. The male condoms are a little more effective because they actually stay on a little better than the female condom, which can move out of place. So the male condom about 90% effective, female condom more in the 80%, something like that.
So still higher than the other methods we were mentioning.
Yeah, yeah. And again, disease prevention is a great plus.
It's a great plus. And so another method that we have that we're going to discuss is another barrier method is the diaphragm.
Right, I do
which
have
we
one of those. We've got an old, these are latex, thick rubber with a big metal ring, spring actually around it. So you put spermicide cream in it, you pinch it, you put it up in the vagina, over the cervix.
Maybe. Do
We
we wanna
may
show
have
it?
a picture, actually, you're right, we have a picture right here we can show.
This is for another form of method.
Right, so it goes, you pinch the diaphragm, put it in the vagina, it opens up and covers the opening to the uterus, which is up here, and it keeps the sperm from getting through.
And for those viewers that might not be too familiar with the anatomy of a woman, the uterus is really, the cervix is the door
Exactly.
to the uterus.
Yep.
And that's where
That's where these
fertilization
go.
can occur. And that's where you want to stop things
This
from
is where you
going.
want to stop things
And so
from getting
sometimes
through. Right.
either with this or with a cervical cap, you put like a spermicide or a jelly or a film,
Yes,
right?
you have to put the spermicidal film or jelly because the sperm will just go around it, basically, even if it fits pretty tightly. So good method, not perfect, about 80% effective
And
also.
this one you actually have to plan ahead of time. Whereas
put
a
it
condom
in,
you can
that's
put
right.
on in the heat of the action.
That's
you can do
true.
it then. Whereas
That's
this
true.
one you kind of have to plan and get it fitted.
And you have to be comfortable putting your fingers in your vagina.
And you have to get it from the doctor.
And you have to get it from a
Where
doctor.
a condom
yeah.
you can get even at the convenience store.
That's right.
Right? Or at one of our healthcare centers.
There you go. Yeah. So all these different barrier methods work to, again, stop the sperm from getting to the ovum or
And
egg.
can you use spermicidal jelly or foam without any of these?
You can, good question, but we don't recommend it because many women's vaginas are irritated by spermicide. It's like a soap product, it feels like soap, and it can burn or irritate, and if it does, it can actually slightly increase your chances of getting an infection. So if you're sensitive to spermicide, make sure you don't use spermicide on, because some condoms have spermicide on them, and just read the package. You want it lubricated but without spermicide, generally.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Shall we get to our next method?
Let's move on.
So
Yeah.
the hormonal method, also known as most commonly the pill, but there are other types of hormonal method. We've got the patch, and then we've got a slide right now. We have the pill, the shot, an implant, the patch, a ring, and Mirena IUD. So we're going to go through each of those And basically what they do is a combination of hormones, estrogen and progestin, correct? And when used properly, it's about 99% effective,
Very
which
effective,
is
yeah.
basically our most effective one. However, it does not protect from STDs.
Right. And some are a little trickier to use than others. A pill, you have to remember to take it every day. If you're worried about remembering to do that, or your parents finding it, or something like that.
Same time every day is what's
And
encouraged.
exactly,
correct?
exactly. So it's a little trickier. If that's hard for you, we say the best method is the one you use the most consistently. And so if that's going to be difficult, try one of these other things, like the shot. We've got Depo-Provera is a every 3-month injection in your arm, and it's very effective, 99+%. And you don't have to worry about it. Once you get the shot, you're done
It's
for
kind
3
of like
months.
the whole set it and forget it. You
Right.
can do that.
Right.
Another one like that is the Implanon, which
Exactly.
is an insertion that's, I think it's a little stick, is what I've compared, about this long,
Yep.
and it goes to the inside of the woman's arm.
Yes.
And so you don't see it. It actually isn't so invasive, especially I think for some of the younger generation. It doesn't seem as scary. It's not going into you anywhere foreign.
Right, just under your skin.
Just under your
Right.
skin, and I think that's for 3 years.
Yeah, up to 3
releases
years.
hormones,
and
right?
very effective. And again, like you said, put it in and forget about it. And there's one other like that, the IUD, the Mirena. There's 2 kinds of
Which is
IUDs,
this?
intrauterine device. Now that's actually the one we're showing is the copper IUD. It has copper wire wrapped around this little plastic T. This goes up in the uterus, past the vagina, so you don't feel it during intercourse. There is a little string that hangs down, and that's so the doctor can remove it when it's time to take it out. This Paragard IUD you can actually have up to 10 years.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
10 years, because they
Yeah.
don't have the hormones. The one that we're showing you right now on the screen, that one doesn't have hormones
Right.
because the copper or something.
It seems
has
to
some
last
type of
longer
reaction.
than the Mirena, which you
Which
have a
is
nice display of.
this one.
Here. Same shape, it's a little plastic T, but instead of copper wire, it has hormones on the plastic that last 5 years. And this same deal, it goes, the doctor has to put it in through your vagina. They have a little straw-shaped inserter into your uterus, so way up here in the uterus, and then, of course, my string, there we go. And it stays in there. There is this little string to when the doctor, after you want it out, you don't have to wait the whole 10 years or 5 years or whatever. They just literally pull it out, and then you're able to get pregnant again.
And this works by thinning the uterus wall, right? And kind of tricking the uterus and thinking that there's something already there.
Yes,
That's my
and it
understanding.
actually stops ovulation,
Ovulation,
too,
yeah.
which is how birth control pills, the patch, the shot, the other methods we're going to talk about work. Same deal. If you don't release an egg, you can't get pregnant, and that's why they're 99% plus effective.
And so, but there are some side effects of all these. We have the typical ones like your heavier cramps, bloating,
Headaches, some women
headaches,
get.
yeah, irregular bleeding.
That's a problem. They call it breakthrough bleeding. It's not your period, but just any time you could start bleeding. And some of the methods more than others. But if you don't want that to happen, then you need to ask your doctor about the side effects.
And each method has its own version of side effects, and each person is different. So what works for you might not work for your friend. You know, it's up to you to figure out, like you were saying, whatever is the most effective and whatever one you'll use the most often is the one that's best for you.
So we've got the pill is probably what people are most familiar with. There's different packages, many are round, and it basically shows you which one to take each day, because this is a triphasic pill. It has 3 different colors and 3 different functions or strengths of hormone. Some are 2 phases, they're different. They affect your body differently. You definitely want to ask about side effects, and you want to tell your doctor if you have any side effects you don't like. Reduction in sex drive or interest is a common side effect with hormonal medication. And if it's so severe you're just not interested in sex anymore, then you want to tell your doctor that this isn't working for you.
Yeah, but there are also sometimes, I've heard of some positive side effects, especially with younger women using the pill. Sometimes they'll notice less acne, or their cramps will actually be lighter and not as heavy and severe. You know, so sometimes people, I think women actually go on some type of hormonal assistance so that they are easier with their cycle.
And with some of these methods, like Depo-Provera, the shot we talked about, you actually stop having periods, which many women love, not having to deal with it. Some women feel it's unnatural and don't like it, but again, it's all what works for you. And we have a vaginal ring here that Jacqueline's holding up. That goes in kind of like the diaphragm through the
Show again,
vagina,
let's
up
see. There we
against
go. So it would
the
go
uterus or
about
the
right
cervix.
there?
Yep, yep. And you leave it in and for actually about 3 weeks, and then you take it out and you have your period. And it's coated with hormones like the Mirena IUD. If you left it in or got a new one instead of leaving it out for a week, you probably would not have a period. You'd stop having periods. But when you take it out, the hormones stop working and to prevent periods, and then you would have one. And then you put in another one for 3 weeks, and many women like the NuvaRing
So
method.
with the hormones or the hormonal methods, the pill goes through, is absorbed through your digestive tract,
Right,
correct?
right,
The
right.
ring is absorbed through your uterus lining or your vaginal
Cervix,
lining, cervix. The shot is through your skin,
Right.
same with the implant-on.
Right.
The IUD, if you get one with hormones, is again releasing it. And then there's one more, the patch, which is actually absorbed through your skin.
Yeah, it looks
Right?
like a Band-Aid almost.
Yeah, it does.
No one has the skin color really, but it's close enough. But yeah, you put it on your hip or your butt, and the hormones, right, soak in through your skin.
And that lasts, you keep that on for about 3 weeks, like the ring?
Yes, yes, and then you take it off and you have your period, and so all in the 99% effective range if you use it right. And I think that's the biggest problem is people forget to take it, they forget to put it in if you need to insert it. What I've heard women do is they have some kind of problem with it and then they quit using it, but they keep having sex. And you don't want to do that. If you don't like it, you can quit using it, but you use
a condom.
condoms,
Use a
exactly,
condom.
until you get on another method. So very important to go back to your doctor if you're not happy with any of the side effects of these hormonal methods.
And obviously, when you first are put on a hormonal method or when you're coming off of it, you need to use a barrier method in addition, unless you do want to become pregnant, because the first week or so, I think, something about that, depending on the method, you're still able to conceive a child.
Right, still fertile.
And
so you want to ask the doctor, how long till I can not use condoms, if that's your choice, before it starts working, basically.
And then you are also still at risk for STDs. So maybe this is a better method for those with a consistent partner where you have been talking about whether you do or do not have something or had something, or if they have other partners.
Right, really key is if there's any chance they're having sex with other people, you want to keep using the condoms and not stop.
I've even heard of women having the pill and then still using a condom.
Which
That's
is
their
actually
concern.
what we recommend. If you really want maximum protection, use condoms for disease prevention and a backup birth control method in the kind of 99% range. So if the condom breaks, you've got the birth control there to prevent a pregnancy.
Now, I've heard women ask with the Mirenas or the inserted things that go into their uterus or in their vagina, can the male feel them? Or does it interfere with the pleasure of
Generally
sex?
not. You can actually take the ring out of your vagina before you have sex because the hormones are kind of a constant activity thing, not at the moment, but you'd want to put it back in afterward and not forget and leave it out. But same with the string on the IUD. If it's too long, you can feel it. Possibly the male partner can feel it or the inserted partner. So again, if you have any of those things, if it's uncomfortable, tell the doctor, ask, maybe you're not putting it in right, maybe there's something you can do, or maybe you need to use another method.
Got it. Again, lifestyle choices kind of
Yeah.
what fits you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So just really want to encourage considering these more effective methods, but also being aware of the side effects and how, with young women especially, and Depo-Provera, the shot especially, there is an effect on bone density, and so it's recommended you don't use it. I think it's more than about 2 years without stopping it and using a different method, because your bones can get weak from this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they all have pros and cons in terms of side effects, and just find out what they are, like anything.
And all of these methods, of course, are available at probably your provider, or if you don't have a provider, you could come to one of the county's healthcare centers or any other clinic like Planned Parenthood. And there are financial assistance programs for minors, of course, and those with a low income. And so we encourage you, it's worth the effort to go and find out what works for you. And don't, just because you commit to one doesn't mean you have to stick to it. You can change your mind if you
That's
don't
right.
like it. It's really a personal thing, so it should be best for you.
So there's just really the last couple methods we don't recommend for young people because they're permanent. And these are for older people or people who are just sure they never want to have children or get pregnant. have children naturally. So there you see a vasectomy for men is where they cut the two tubes, the vas deferens that carries sperm from the testicles out up to actually the prostate, and then it comes out when a man ejaculates. You still ejaculate. Many men wonder, is anything going to come out?
I think that's big. I hear that often from men. Am I still going to have anything come out there?
There's just no sperm in it. And you have to have a test afterwards to make sure there's no sperm in it, otherwise you could get someone pregnant. They just make 2 tiny cuts in either side of your scrotum and pinch or cut those tubes. And then for women, similar thing, they cut or close off the fallopian tubes, so the eggs and sperm can't meet up. Both in the 99+% effective, and again, good if you're sure you never want to have a pregnancy.
And the vasectomy is an outpatient, right?
Right,
So it's less invasive.
Right.
Pretty much. So if you're done having children, or you know you do not want to, and that's a pretty sure method. Or if you are having a C-section, that's another common way, and the woman knows, I'm done, this is my last child, it's pretty easy for them to
do your tubes at that point. Yeah. So lots of options. We are running out of time. I want to mention, just to sort of summarize some of the things we've talked about in the last 2 shows, and that is to take sex seriously. We're talking about creating a human life here. It's a huge responsibility. I think we've got a slide that summarizes some of these kind of closing tips. But that's certainly one of them. Don't rush into sex. Think it through. Talk to your partner first. Of course, use contraception if you're going to have sex. If you're not happy with it, talk to your doctor. If the condom breaks or you have sex without it, get Plan B or emergency contraception. If you do get pregnant when you didn't plan to, go to the doctor as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the fewer options you have. And I do want to mention that a few years ago they passed a law that allows people to drop off a newborn at a fire department or hospital if you just cannot deal with it. Rather than dumping it in a trash can in some of those sad scenarios, you can take it where it will be cared for and no questions asked up to 3 days after it's born.
Well, that's a great law.
It's a great safety net,
Exactly.
for people who are panicking and don't know what else to do. So that's really about it, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So if you want more information, you can go to our website at www.sbcphd.org. And those are the locations of our county healthcare centers, as well as Planned Parenthood and the neighborhood clinics. Any of those sites can give you more information. Give them a call. And thank you for joining us very much today. We hope you've learned something and will be more informed in your sexual decisions.
Yes, thanks for watching.